Morning, comrades. Hope everyone's doing great. We're here to talk about the next volume of Overlord, number 12, which gets us into the Holy Kingdom arc. Now, if you've just been watching the anime, or if you just watched anime, what occurred was the animes are they pretty faithfully follow the path of the light novels until you get to volume 11, which was the previous volume, where it skips to volume 14 of the light novel in the TV series. And then they made a movie that encapsulated volumes 12 and 13. And I haven't seen the movie yet. I would say just based on the books, that's a good idea, because the volume 12 and 13 here, which are almost like a duology, because they go right into each other. It's kind of like the Riestes arc, how it was volumes 6 and 7 or 7 and 8. It was essentially two different volumes, dealing with like the 8 fingers and the kingdom and kind of all that stuff, right? And like these books all like lead one into the other, but there was like a clear arc that took 2 light novels to cover down. And so this is the same thing. Like this volume 12 and 13 just kind of like continues the progression, and it really heavily focuses in on I'm trying to remember, is this called like the Knight of the Holy Kingdom, or like the Girl of the Holy Kingdom, or it's something. Anyway, so this Naya girl, I think that's what I'm going to say. I feel like I was listening to some book of tape, but I felt like I was hearing different pronunciations of her name, but Naya is kind of like the main character of this series, we have Ainz and a few other characters that come around, but we'll kind of get into that whole thing. But it's pretty good. It does kind of like the Lizard Man thing, sort of, where it has like there's like everything that's going on in the background we don't really deal with, right? So there's some books, and I actually prefer those volumes of the light novel series more when we just kind of deal with like the Nazariq characters. This really heavily focuses not on the Nazariq characters, and sometimes we get a little bits and pieces of what's going on there, but mostly it focuses on the character. Well, it focuses on Naya, but also some other characters within the kingdom. After I do so I'm going to do this one, and then in a couple weeks they'll get volume 13, and then in a couple weeks I'm trying to think if I want to. I might just right after volume 13 I think it was what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch the movie, because I've never seen it before, and then I'll talk about that, because that'll just kind of like focus more on like what's different and whatnot, and how I felt about how they did the movie. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's get into it. So we start off and we learn about the Holy Kingdom. What's the Holy Kingdom? Where is it at? It kind of makes like a crescent shape, it seems, like a reverse. In my head, it was a reverse crescent. It could just be a regular crescent around like a bay. And essentially the Holy Kingdom is split into like the North Kingdom and the South Kingdom. And there's the Holy Sister, who's like the queen, essentially, of the kingdom. And they spend a lot of time like fighting off beastmen, because they're kind of off in the distance, and they're somewhat like aligned with the theocracy, is that they dislike very strongly subhumans and also the undead, because they're like a traditional fantasy, like JRPG fantasy, like Holy Kingdom, right? See, horseshoe. Okay, they have a large wall that protects against the Lionmen. We've heard of the Lionmen before, right? So that we haven't really dealt with the Holy Kingdom at all, as far as I can recall. There's like the stuff about, I think like the Elf King was talking about the Beastmen / the Lion people. What do they call them in Final Fantasy XIV? They're dope as shit. I mean, I stopped playing before Dawn Guard, or whatever it's fucking called. So I don't know about the female lion people, but I'm sure the furries had a field day with that. But the lion, like the actual lion guys, were dope as shit looking, because I'd see them all around when I was playing. But God, I miss Final Fantasy XIV. Fucking Dawn Guard, what a piece of shit, man. Can we go on a tangent for a second? I fucking loved Final Fantasy XIV. Like, I played that game like religiously, and I was going to keep playing it. And then that Dawn, and I have kids, I got a full-time job, I got like shit to do, so I can't like play it as much. It's like, okay, so I play through the story, I do everything, cool, I gotta take a break, I'll hit it up again and just like power through everything that I missed and get the new expansion and whatnot. And everything I heard about Woke Guard, essentially, was like, and I'm like a woke vegetarian. If you watch V Monroe, which I highly suggest you do, he's amazing. Like No Entertainment is one of his channels, and then it's just like Romanian VTV or whatever, I think is the other one. He says like there's like there's veganism, right? And if you're like a Gen Xer or even like an older millennial, then you kind of know what the whole vegan thing is. It's like people got vegan and they got really like up in your face about it, and it's like, I'm gonna go fuck yourself. And then there was like the vegetarians, which are a little more chill. So we got the same thing, right? And he refers to like there's the AI vegans and the woke vegans, right? And so if the game even like it's a whiff of like wokeness or whatever, the woke vegans will just be like, hell no, fuck this, downvote, get up their friends to go downvote and stuff like that, right? And so the same thing with like games with AI. I fucking love AI. Mostly my whole thing is kind of, I'm in line with him with a lot of things. I don't know if it's like my Sicilian upbringing, but it seems kind of similar to how he grew up in Romania. But it's like, I don't put up with your bullshit, man. Like if you're an indie company or like you're making like an erotic visual novel and you're one guy, like AI away. Honest to God. Like, I do not give a fuck. Like, if I was going to make another game, I might use AI just because it's me, and I just, like, I want this to look cool. And being cool is more important than anything else, right? But I understand people being, like, really concerned about it. If you're, like, Ubisoft or EA or fucking Square Enix and you're using AI, how about you go fuck yourselves? Honestly, you have no goodwill for me. If you're the guys who made Clair Obscur and you used AI to do some concept art at the beginning, or like your artists who are you paid to make concept art, it's like even less egregious. Use like some AI to kind of like adjust things so you could like work faster and like not make more money. I'm like high fives all around, right? Because whatever, who gives a fuck? But I get it. Like I'm not like against the woke vegan or the AI vegans. But when it comes to like wokeness, I am not a vegan per se. Like if the game is good or enjoyable on some level, I will give it credit where credit's due. My most recent review that will kind of cater to this that I can recall. The only two kind of like wokey games that I played recently that I've sort of enjoyed were Chained Echoes and Absalom. Absalom is a beat 'em up side scroller. You can see my review. I think I published it in like April or May or something. If you like beat 'em ups, it's pretty good, and like roguelike stuff. I don't like roguelike stuff. I really like beat 'em ups. And for me, it was like, oh, no thanks. Like it was one of those things where I started playing it and I'm like, oh, this is woke shit. But the game was like fun. Like the game worked, right? And it was like fun enough, and I was like kind of curious. The story was kind of garbage, so there wasn't much to talk about there. But I had fun. I like played through it a couple times. I cheated because I was like, I'm not gonna like waste my time with this fucking bullshit. So I didn't. But then Chained Echoes was dope as shit, and that game was like a 6 out of 10 on like the woke scale, right? So it was pretty fucking woke. But I enjoyed it, and like the story did have some. I definitely had to knock points off from playing it. Like it's one of those things where it's like I would not suggest playing Chained Echoes. It was fun. It was like pretty good. The DLC was garbage, but that happens a lot with some of these like more indie games. I don't know what the deal is. They make like these DLCs, and instead of just like adding on to the game and the fun, they like change everything, and you're like, this is stupid. And the story was kind of garbage too. But I mean, that was my thing. It's like playing through the game, I was like, all right, I'm getting what's going on here, and the game wrapped up, and I was like, I think I'd give that story like a 7 out of 10. I would have given it an 8, except for the woke stuff. But then as like time has gone on, I'm more like, it's like a 6 out of 10. It's all right. Like it's slightly above average because it did some interesting stuff, and it like kind of surprised me here and there. Like I was like, oh, that was cool. And some of the character. Yeah. There's like a lizard character that was pretty dope, and he had a good story. And then the chicks were kind of hot for being like pixels and whatnot. So that's how I feel about that. Now we're talking about Overlord. Volume 12. So I apologize for getting off the subject. But this is like the complete opposite of woke. I guess was my point. I don't know. I just started ranting. Yeah. So, okay, so then we meet this brute, Orlando. He likes to fight. He's kind of a noble, sort of. We get like a whole fucking backstory for this dude. And also his superior, this Pavel guy. And Pavel guy is actually important to know, but Orlando's not. And like, we spend like the whole first chapter, or the first section of the first chapter, because light novels like to pull that bullshit, where it's like, there's like there's only 6 chapters in this book, and each chapter is like 5 parts. And you're like, okay, so it's actually like 20 chapters. I got it. I got you. Stupid. Anyway, and we learn about how like Pavel's like this great ranger, and they talk about his daughter who has the skills to be a ranger, and she's got like the same angry like cunt face that he has, with like resting cunt face. And so people get like really freaked out by her because they're like, oh, she's so angry all the time, when she's not. And neither is this guy, but this guy's like the greatest ranger in like the whole kingdom or something, and Orlando's like this huge fighting guy, and he's super great and whatnot, and blah 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 blah. And then they die almost instantaneously. And I'm like, Overlord, don't ever change. But before they die, we learn about like the King of Darkness, what they know about the King of Darkness, and it's kind of just like the normal stuff. They then hear a bell. It's an attack. They see a bunch of snake men and a bunch of other like subhuman races, or I can't remember what they call them. They're like monster races, and they're like, wow, that's unusual. They usually don't fight together. They're usually fighting each other. There's like a huge invasion. And then there's another alarm and something big comes. So they get ready for their fight. They're looking for the general of the enemies or whatever, and it's Demiurge. It's, or Demiurge being, God, I can't ever say this name, Yeholdabeth or Yeholdabath or something. And then they're like, why are you here? And he's like, I want to create hell. And so Orlando and him go back, they go back and forth screaming at each other. And then Demiurge casts a level 10 spell, Meteor Strike, I think is what he calls it. And it destroys and kills. It destroys the wall and kills like everybody. And then he's like, all right, that was pretty easy. And then he hears something moving around, and it's Orlando. And he orders him, and then Orlando's like, I'm going to get you. And Demiurge is like, cut your own throat. And so he does, because Demiurge has a very powerful ability to suggest things to people. He then wanders back over to the monster people and orders them to attack and tear down the wall. Here we learn that the kingdom is ruled by a powerful faith caster. She has like level 3 faith magic or level 4 or something. Sorry. She was like 3rd in line to become the queen or the ruler of the Holy Kingdom. But because her magic aptitude was so strong, I think she can actually do level 6. They put her in charge. And they are, then we learned about the North and South split and how there's 2 different kingdoms. And then they're summoning like the Southern army to come to the north to help fight the monsters, because that's where Demiurge and everybody are like attacking. And then her and her paladin, her like the leader of the paladins, Remidia, they talk about the struggle, the fighting, everything. They talk about the King of Darkness for some reason comes up again. Oh, he comes up again because they're like, oh, this Kingdom of Darkness thing. And then there's Momon, like Yeholdabeth. Has anyone heard of him? Oh yeah, he attacked the Restes kingdom. And then Momon, this adventurer, like took care of it. Oh, can we get him to come? I don't know. He's a member of like the King of Darkness. He's like part of his retinue, so we'd have to talk, or the Kingdom of Darkness. So we'd have to talk to the King of Darkness about that. And then I don't know if we can fight this guy. And then they hear a bell because Demiurge is in the city with his armies broken in. So the queen orders her men to go out and to die to protect the city. And Remidia like runs off. Then there's like the fight through the demons. They're healing soldiers. It's a lot of fighting. Again, like the reason I feel like this would make a decent movie is because the majority of it is just like, there's like lore dump or like world building lore dump. And then there's just fighting, like a lot of fighting. So they fight. They then get to Demiurge. They go back and forth a little bit. They then fight, and then Demiurge is like completely unimpressed with them or their kingdom, and then he kills the shit out of a bunch of guys. And the Queen Lady summons some angels. Demiurge beats the shit out of them, and then they start hitting him with more magic, and it doesn't seem to be doing anything. And they want to cast like this powerful ritual, but they need to cast it fast. But if they cast it fast, it's gonna like tap out the Queen's mana and make her sick or whatever. So it's got to be like a super powerful attack. Demiurge is like mocking them and all this stuff, and then he mentions that, all right, fine, if you're gonna do this ritual and you're gonna go all out and the paladin's gonna fight and whatnot, I'm actually gonna put some effort into this fight. But before that, before they can finish casting this ritual, Demiurge steps up and transforms into his demon form. I think what we actually learn a bit later on is that he doesn't transform into a demon form, he just summons a demon and like nopes the fuck out, right? So then the demon, which is like a level 80 demon, which like most humans are level like, even most powerful humans are like level 30. So it's like, if you ever played like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, Oh, that's why you're talking about the woke stuff. Because of fucking Dawnguard. Anyway, sorry. Overlord is ran like a MMORPG. I circled back. I got it. I finally got it, guys. I closed out the loop. I remember now. I was talking about the mechanics of this world and how it's like a MMORPG like Final Fantasy 14, which I love, and then it got woke, and so I stopped playing it because I'm a woke vegetarian, and it's like, I don't know, man. There's only so much of this shit I can handle. And I just heard the game sucked, like Dawnguard or whatever. Like whatever next expansion comes out, if they just let you skip all the bullshit story, I might play it, to be completely honest. I don't even know anything about it. I heard it really did dirty to my girl Alice. Man, fucking Alice. I would wreck that. Anyway, okay. God damn, Alice, you're so fucking hot. Okay, sorry. Okay, so then Demiurge, so then the demon just like beats everybody up, runs up to the queen. Paladin, Remedia's like freaking out, but he just like knocks her aside, grabs the queen, smashes her into the ground, smashes again, and then Remedia's going to use her weapon, but then she calls everybody like run away, and the Demiurge blasts her and the other paladins with a fireball. The queen lady is trying to the holy lady is trying to resist, and Demiurge smashes her some more. And then Remedia like runs up to Demiurge and he uses the queen to smash her. And then he looks up and he's like, "Oh, my army is close." And then he reaches up and drops a fucking like meteor strike on them again. Fuck, I got turned up. Oh man. And you may be like, "Oh, that sucks for those humans, I guess." I mean, they're not like the main characters of the story, but you find out later, and like maybe the Holy Mother dying was like kind of cruel and sad, I guess. But Remedia is like a real cunt. Like this whole book, both these books. The more she's around, the more I'm like, "Oh, fuck her." like Demiurge did nothing wrong, right? Anyway, and so we pick up a bit later with Naya, who is the daughter of Pavel. That's and she's a paladin squire, and we learn that I don't know if we learn here, but we eventually learn that her mom was like a paladin, and so instead of following after her father, even though she has natural talent for like the bow and a natural talent for like being ranger, like seeing and hearing things, and kind of all the like the traditional ranger skills you would get in like an MMORPG or like a other Japanese role-playing game, she decided that she was going to be a paladin, even though she's like kind of shit at it. Anyway, so she's like walking through a town. And they're in the Riestes. We found out it's the Riestes kingdom. It's God, what's the fucking capital called? Arantel is not the capital, is it? Anyway, the capital of the Riestes kingdom, and they're here looking for aid from the Holy Kingdom, and it's her and Remedia, and I think his name's Gunther, who's the second in command of the Paladins, and it's going like real bad. And the Remedia's like, again, she's just a cunt. Like immediately, she like yells at Naya, who's like the main character of the story. And then Gunther's like nice to her, or Gustav, sorry, it's Gustav. And that he supports her and is like feels bad because like her mom, like no one knows what happened to her mom because she was out doing paladin shit. But then her dad like clearly got destroyed. And the only reason she's here as like a squire, because she's not a full paladin, is because her senses are like real fucking good and whatnot. And so, she went off to like try to convince some noble to give her support, and there was like no, and the Remedia like yells at her because it's like, and then Gustav's like, she's a fucking like squire. Like the fuck? Why are you such a cunt to her? And there's no good reason. Remedia's just a cunt. And then we learned that the Blue Roses, right, like Evil Eye and Muscle Mommy and the ninja, I think Tia or Tina, and then the other lady are all coming to have a discussion with them, and they want Naya to stick around to kind of watch them and see what's going on and see if she picks up anything. So the Blue Roses arrive. They talk about sharing information on Demiurge because right, they were part of the fight. The Paladins buy them much information with gold and whatnot, and they ask for help after they kind of learn everything we learned from like the book, right? And the Blue Roses are like, "Oh fuck no!" Only Momon has been able to hold up against them, and then the Blue Rose, and then they're like, "Yeah, there's no fucking way we don't want to die." They talk more about like the split in the kingdom, the North and South. They're kind of like at a civil war always, but like a cold civil war. But now it's like the South is like, "Oh fuck yourselves," and then they like beg for the Blue Roses to help, and they rant about it. And the Blue Roses again are like, "No," and then they bring up the Kingdom of Darkness or the Nation of Darkness, and how the humans are getting along safely in the Kingdom of Darkness because there was some concern about like Momon, what's he doing there? Why is he helping the undead? All this stuff. And the Blue Roses are like, "No, man, everything seems fine over there. Like, there's no issues. Maybe you should go ask him for help." And then they're like, "Oh, I don't know." It's like, "Well, you're going to have to talk to the King of Darkness, Ions." And then the Blue Roses offer to write them a letter of introduction. So Naya's crew takes that letter of introduction, and they travel to the Kingdom of Darkness. And while they're going there, she thinks about how she should have became a ranger instead of a paladin, Naya does, and how she has no aptitude. It's kind of stuff we learned about before. And that, her dad was like a chill dude. He was like Aragon. He just like chilled in the woods, and like on his horde like a fucking dragon. But then he met his wife and was like, "I love pussy, so I'm going to marry her and then go to the city." And now he's dead, and she's sad about that. He should have just stayed in the woods, right? And even though she wouldn't have been born, her dad would have been alive and be happy, right? It's like some real tragic stuff. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm noticing something," and then Remedia like yells at her. And then Gustav and everyone else is like, "Oh no, there's something over there." And the Paladins start to talk about it, and it's a fucking like ghost ship. And the head lady wants to fight it, but then gets talked down by people who aren't retarded. And it's a good thing too, because the ghost ship just like floats on by. And they learn later that this is just like a ghost ship that the king like Ainz has is like it's almost like if there's bandits or someone attacks it, it kills the shit out of it, but then otherwise it's just like a guy. It's kind of like that ship. In my head, it's kind of like that ship from Elden Ring, which I loved fucking killing that thing, man. That was so dope. Whenever that thing like popped up randomly, I was like, hell yeah, let's go, brother. Fucking Elden Ring. God, Elden Ring was so good. God damn, dude. Anyway, so they eventually get to a Brantel, I want to say. And there's like frost giants out there, but they're just chilling and whatnot. And they talk about how impressive it is that everyone's working together. They see humans and demi-humans or subhumans, whatever they call them in this, working together. They talk to like a dwarf or whatever, and then they're like, oh yeah, everything's great. We're just building roads and shit. And, we love being here. It's super nice. And the undead are, like, helpful and all that stuff. So it's just really nice. And then they get introduced to... God, who was it? Introduced to somebody who was like, hey, this Death Knight's gonna, like... do something, and they're about to attack. Oh no! So they go to like a brief, and the Death Knight's there, and then they're freak out, and Remedia's about to attack it, and then she gets talked down again, and then the Naga guy from like book 8 shows up, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And he briefs him. He's like, "Don't draw weapons. If you draw weapons, you will die. If you do this, you will die. If you do this, you will die. But otherwise, you're going to be good." And then if you play nice. If you don't play nice and do something, there's going to be investigations. They're going to use mind control on you or whatever, so just don't fuck around and find out. And then he leaves. So the Paladins continue to... So now they're in the city, and now they meet the Dwarves. The Dwarves talk about how great the undead are and stuff, and resettling all the poor people, because there's no poor people around, because they like gave them homes and built them up. It's like the perfect kingdom. Perfect. And then Remedia gets super angry, because people are just letting an undead rule them, but it's like everything's super fancy. They go to a super fancy inn, and they get an audience with Ainz. First they meet Albedo, and everyone's like, holy shit, she's so hot. And then Ainz, and they ask for Momon's help, and he's like, nope. They're like, why not? And he's like, he keeps the peace. Maybe he can go in like 5 years. And they go back and forth a little bit, and then Ainz is like stroking his skeleton chin, and it's like, all right, I can do 3 years if I really press it, because I need to like establish order here, and I need like, he kind of keeps the peace with the humans and everything else, like his presence like helps and everything else that's going on. And then Naya is like really freaks out, and she like begs for sooner, and he's like, all right, maybe I can do 2 years. And then but what is he going to get in return? And it's like, we'll get you something. And later on, Naya's getting yelled at by Remedia, and this second in command is like defending her. It's like, hey, she got a whole year off. Why are you such an asshole? And then Naya gets sent away, and she wanders around a bit. And then Ainz is like, what up? And she's like, ah! And he's like, I want to meet with your paladin people, but I want it to be kind of secret. I don't want my like counselors to know about it. And so Naya goes and sets it up. And then Ainz proposes that he will go and deal with Demiurge right now. And they're like, what? Why would you come right now and not send Momon, blah, blah, blah? And he's like, well, I can kind of go out of here. Albedo can run things, but I need Momon around because he's like a symbol of like the peace and unity of the people and whatnot. And they're like, well, what do you... And then he's like, and I don't want to hear your bullshit. I know you're split. I know everything about your kingdom. I know you guys got nothing to give me. But Demiurge has demon maids, and I want those. And this is great, because then it kind of excuses, like, the Pleiades just, like, being around doing stuff, because it's like, where did he get these fucking things from? Or, like, they're so powerful. And it's like, oh, they're demon maids. And everyone's going to be like, oh, demon maids, that's cool. He stole them from that guy who was killing... it's like what's the fucking thing from Doom? It's like schemes upon schemes upon schemes. Ah, Dune is so good. Goddamn, dude. Anyway... So he's like, all right, let's go. I'll get these maids and everything will be great. So he is going to travel by himself, with them, obviously, and take care of them. So after he leaves, they assign the role of lady-in-waiting to Naya. And so we jump ahead, and Naya's in a giant fancy carriage with Ainz. They talk about him being a king, how he likes it, how he treats his subjects well, about being very grateful for her escort. And then he's like, hey, let me give you something. He gives her like this super powerful... For him, it's like nothing, right? But for her, it's like a super powerful bow with runes on it and stuff. And he's like, okay, I hope this is not too shabby for you. And she like freaks the fuck out. They talk some more before they arrive at the cave where the paladins are set up as like their base of operations, so they can like attack the city and take it back. And then we also no, he gives her stuff later. Okay, so they talk some more before they arrive. Let's see, he meets with them and the priests and the rest of the force. Naya notices that they are very disrespectful of Ainz behind his back, like all the priests and paladins and stuff. They talk about the resurrection of the Holy Mother, but they need her body, and then like it's going to be really taxing, but they got to do it. Maybe if they get the body back, which there's like spoiler, that's not going to happen. And then maybe they can get the Lord of Darkness to do it because he's such powerful. If not, like the Blue Roses can do it, maybe, or maybe they can't. I don't know. And then Naya gets very suspicious of them and like what their deal is. And then they talk about the bow, or like someone sees the bow and is like, let me see the bow. And she's like, no, this is the Lord, like the King of Darkness gave this to me, and I don't want to like fuck around and find out, because what if he decides he's not going to help us after all? And they're like, oh, okay, I guess that's true. They then get sent away, but she reminds them that she was asked to kind of like report in for the King of Darkness, Ainz, and so maybe they should just let her do that. Afterwards, she heads over to Ainz's room with Gustav, the second in command. Let's see. Ainz gets upset because he's like, the fuck, like I trusted this girl to like go and report back to me, and then you came, so you clearly don't trust my decision. And Gustav's like, no, I'm sorry. So they talk about the plans for the next day and what needs to be done, and they get information on Demiurge, or Yeholdabeth, right? And then the other guy leaves, and then Ainz tells Naya that he appreciates all her hard work. So they then go to like the first subhuman fort that was taken, or the fort that was taken over by the subhumans, and the paladins race in. The monster people, they hold up a hostage. It's some girl, and then they kill her. They take a boy because the paladins like stop when they hold up the hostage, and they're talking about they better like run away or they're gonna kill the boy too. And Ainz is like, hell no. So he steps up and kills the monster and the boy, and everyone like freaks out. And he's like, look, if we want to save these people, you got to stop allowing them to like have hostages that you're gonna take seriously. Because when you allow them to like take a hostage and give them what they want, they're like, hell yeah, we can just keep doing this. And so you kill like one boy, but in return you save like thousands of people or hundreds of people. Like you got to do the math. And then Naya really appreciates his like kingly attitude or ability to like make kingly decisions and like look at the grand scheme of things. Let's see. So they talk about the objectives to save the most amount of people. Also about the Guardians being too willy. Oh yeah. And then I just like thinks about stuff. He's like, God damn, this is like those idiot Guardians who always want to die for me instead of just like, hey, how about you don't die and just like do the job anyway. Anyway, so they rescue a bunch of humans, and then at some point, like the father of the boy who Ainz killed, like freaks out, and then Ainz throws it back at him, and it's like, why are you alive? Like they grabbed your son. Why didn't you die trying to save him? Like you're mad at me, but I did what I needed to do, and you talk about how you would do anything for your son, but you didn't. And then the guy's like, I am ashamed. Because he clearly, he valued his own life over his son's. The old man is like, shit. After conquering that fort, they head on to the next fort. Again, the paladins charge. Again, there's hostages. The paladins then flee again, and Ainz goes up and freezes all the bad guys. And then he notices there's a berserk guy. But anyway, he's able to rescue the children, and then they take care of the berserkers. And then they run into this like Medusa. I think it's like a Medusa-style monster is kind of what I gathered from the description. I'll have a better idea once I watch the movie. I didn't want to like re-listen to it. I was like listening to them talk about it, and it's like, it seems kind of like a Medusa-style character, like a snake-style something or whatever. And this, we get some of the thoughts of this monster. It's like he's like the king of like, I think he's the king of like whatever group he's in charge of. And he thinks that, at first he thinks Naya is like the necromancer summoning this guy, but then he thinks like the opposite. Maybe she's like under control of this guy or whatever. Ainz and him go back and forth about how powerful he is and his armor and all this shit. And then Ainz kicks the shit out of him. And then he scares, tells Ian. Okay, and after before killing him, he like tells him about the alliance and how all the monsters got brought together by Demiurge or by Yaldabaoth. That's what it is, Yaldabaoth, and all that stuff. And then Ainz is like, cool. And the guy's like, so you let me live? And he's like, no. He kills him anyway. The paladins are able to take over the fort and then the city. Oh no, the second one's not a fort. It's like it's one of the major cities, right? So then at this point, Ainz and Naya like walk around. They find a building where a bunch of orcs are being held as prisoners, and they go talk to him for a bit. And while they're there, they learn the orcs refuse to fight and so are imprisoned by Yaldabaoth. After Ainz makes a deal with them of some kind, they get like teleported out of there or whatever. We don't know exactly what it is. Again, we're kind of like viewing through Naya's viewpoint at this point. And she gets like dismissed for a minute so he can like chat with them a bit more. Ainz meets up with the paladins and they talk about what to do next. Ainz learns that there is a demon pretending to be a human around here, or there is likely, they have like a whole conversation about it, but it doesn't get resolved, so I don't know if they were just like chatting about how it's possible a demon. They gotta like search around to make sure there's not a demon or something. And about illusions and how powerful they are and how like an illusion can be so powerful, it can be more powerful than like a real spell, which is kind of what we know about from the previous book with the dwarfs, because when they fought the Molemen, they created that like crazy illusion that they were all in, and they were just able to like slaughter them to almost, they called them, they didn't slaughter them, I should say. The paladins then talk about like all 12 races. I'm not going to talk about it. It's like a lot. It's like, this race says this, they look like this is how they did. It's just kind of, it's like a huge like exposition, not exposition, it's like world building dump. And I'm just like, I don't care, none of this stuff matters. It's like when it's like when they like, oh, we're going to spend like a whole chapter talking about this bandit and why he's a bandit and his family and like, and it's good to listen to it or read it because it kind of gives you like an idea of how the world is, but then that character is like gone. And this was just kind of like, I don't know, I kind of zoned out while this was playing because I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's like you're reading like the Bible or the Quran or the Torah or whatever, and it's just like so-and-so begat so-and-so, and you're just kind of like flipping the pages like, all right, when does this fucking end? Like, I don't need all this shit. We then learn, because we're with the Paladins right now, like Remidia and stuff, that Ainz is like, I need to rest so that I can fight Yal the Bayoth and gain my mana back, which he doesn't, but you know, it's just kind of like, it's part of the whole scheme. But that the Paladins really want him to drain his mana so they can like turn on him and kill him, and then they're like talking about how they're scheming to like get rid of him because he's undead and they don't trust him and all this kind of shit and whatnot. A bit later, there's a huge siege on the city, and during the siege is when Ainz gets all tuckered out, and then he thinks about how he is like going along with Demiurge's plan, and that he's had to ad-lib a little bit, and he recalls arguing with Demiurge about giving him more detailed instructions, because Demiurge's like, here's the plan, and it just says like, you're Lord Ainz, you'll figure it out, and Ainz is like, can I have more information than this? And Demiurge is like, I don't want to insult you, and I just like, Jesus Christ, like, just tell me what to do. And Demiurge also wants like a list of people to save, and Ainz is like, I don't know, is there anybody that really worships him? And we know that Naya worships him like at this point, but she always looks so angry that like he kind of like gets spooked out when he talks to her, because she's got like, it's the way her eyebrows are and her like scrunched up face that she's like, oh man, she's pissed off, like the fuck, I don't want to mess with her, right? But in reality, she like adores him, and so he doesn't like list her as like one of the people not to kill, because he's just like, just whatever. And he's like, yeah, it seems like we're friends, but I don't know if she like worships me, so I don't know if I should save her. You know, and she always looks like she hates him, so he's like having a hard time like reading the situation. Okay, let's see. And then let's see. He thinks about the bow he gave her. He pulls out like a sword to look at. And finally this doppelganger character comes in, and he's like, hey, give me the names, or Lord Demiurge wants the names of the people you want to save. And Ainz is like, I don't have anybody names. There's no one to save. Don't worry about it. And then it's like, bum, bum, bum. And that's the end. That's the end of volume 12. And we'll pick up with volume 13 in a couple of weeks and the rest of this story. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.